Hi there, this is Amanda Frankel, and I wanted to show you this first, actually. This was part of my Christmas Club class, and I loved this card. Well, it got loved a lot, as you can see. Sometimes when I have a class, my cards get a little bunged up when they were passed around to copy. But I loved this card because of the copper. I love the copper, and this DSP, this Designer Series paper, actually has copper in it. Unfortunately, we can't get that copper paper, this paper anymore. You can still get this copper and you can get the copper thread, but you can't get this paper. So I wanted to show you how I made this simple layout and show you that it actually could work for a lot of different cards and still be really kind of fancy, but I wanted to make it a little more down-homey. I don't even know if that's a word. So anyway, I made this card, and it is the same layout as you can see. It is just using a different stamp set that makes it a little more country feeling. And instead of being fancy with the foil, I've added some twine here. And I think that really kind of makes it very country. And this is the country paper. So I'm going to show you how to make it. I'm going to make this one, but it's really kind of the same layout, right? You see the same thing. The measurements are going to be the same. The only difference is going to be the sentiment. And then the way I cut the sentiment out is different. And of course the colors. So let's get started. Okay, so to make this card, I am going to use a very vanilla card base, this one here. And I cut it so that it would stand up on a mantle and be tall. I like it. I like to make Christmas cards sometimes like this, as opposed to, you know, this way, or even opening on the side, just because it stands a little bit nicer on your mantle. And people can see it face on, as opposed to seeing it kind of half, you know, at this angle because of the way it's open. So we're going to cut the paper like this. This is very vanilla cardstock, and it is cut at 4 1/4 by 8 or by 11. And that is just exactly, look at this. So pretend like these are the same color. Okay, if you had these card pieces next to each other, this would be an 8 1/2 by 11. Instead of cutting it right here, like I normally would to have a normal card that would fold like this, I've cut it long ways. Okay, so I'm going to take this card and I'm going to go ahead and make it a card base. Now this is funny because one of my downline and friends, Cheryl, wonders why I do it this way across my body, and it's just the way that I have always done it. Isn't that hilarious? So I continue to do it the same way. I'm having a little trouble here. Let's see if I can. Sorry, my camera's being a little crazy, and you know how much I love to edit, so that won't be happening. All right, so I went ahead and made the card base. Now, I wanted to use, I knew which card stock or what Designer Series paper I wanted to use. I wanted to use from this pack. This is the Festive Farmhouse paper, and as I said, it's a little more country. So adorably cute. Look at that with the wood. So seriously adorable. And any of these would be super cute. But I am very super partial to plaid, especially in the winter when I'm feeling very cold. So I used this sheet here, and it looks like that. The measurements, of course, will be posted here for you. So if I don't say them out loud, it's just because I don't remember what I used. But when I knew I wanted to use this, I just grab it, flip it to the back, and it tells me what colors of paper in here. So there would be basic black, cherry cobbler, gray granite, mossy meadow, very vanilla, and whisper white. Okay, so I knew that this particular paper looks like vanilla to me. So I grabbed vanilla. That's why my card base is that color. Then I knew that the next piece was going to be cherry cobbler, my next layer. It was going to be it's going to be 4 by 5 1/4. And when I thought I could layer it up with all these little pieces, that would be cute, but it's missing something. And whenever you're looking at a card and you're thinking, gosh, this is missing something, I just can't figure out what I need to do, you need to emboss a layer. That is the only thing you need to do. Much like when you're looking at your house and you say, oh, I wish I could just make it look a little bit fancier. Just run the vacuum really quickly. It solves all ills. And embossing does the same thing. So I took this and I embossed it with the, I want to say it's like quilted something or another embossing folder, but I'm not sure about that. I will list it here. But I wanted to show you, because it is one of the dynamic embossing folders, it actually has a different sandwich on your Big Shot. So I want to show you how that looks. Okay, this is like a Big Shot 101 lesson. Sorry about that. But, okay, your Big Shot, when it comes to you, it has this platform and this thin die adapter. And we're actually going to use that die adapter for some of these other pieces here. For these pieces here, we're going to use this adapter. But when we're doing our embossing, we are not going to use that adapter. Okay, so you never use it with any embossing folder. You always just set it aside. A normal embossing folder, you would have this, then you would have this, then you would take your embossing folder with your paper inside it. Where's my paper? I'd stick my paper inside here. And then I would put this other one on top and I would run it through my Big Shot. Always fold side first, right? You always want to do your fold side first because you need a place for the pressure to escape. If you start on this end and you push, run it through your Big Shot this way, it could potentially crack your folder here. So always go fold side first. But because this is one of the dynamic embossing folders, and they are differentiated in the catalog, but they're thick. They're super bulky. I mean, you could do some damage with this thing. So it is super bulky. Because it is, you take off this extra clear cutting mat. So your sandwich is going to be Big Shot platform without the adapter, your embossing folder with your paper, there we go, and then your last, or you don't, yeah, one more cutting mat. So you've left one off. Normally you would have another one here. You don't. Okay, it's like this, it goes through, it's done. So you're only using one of these cutting mats instead of using both of them, okay? Another cool thing that they have started to do lately that's making me so happy is this, see this little line here? What that does is it gives you the line to actually line up. This is actually bigger than the piece that I want to use, but it actually will help you line up. Let's just pretend like it's the right size. It actually gives you the line to line up your paper in there so that when you run it through your embossing folder, it is even. So if you have an embossing folder that is definitely directional, or it has to be symmetrical and like stripes or something that are going to make you crazy if it's just a little crooked, this would make you crazy on a card if it were a little crooked. That will help you line it up so it's straight. Okay, so I obviously going to get rid of all my mess. That was my little commercial break on how to do that. Little mini lesson in a lesson. All right, so I am going, oh, there it is. See, I knew I had cut one the right size. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. So let's just use our very fancy mono liquid adhesive. This is my favorite, by the way. So you really don't need a ton. That is seriously not a lot of glue. And I'm going to make sure I've got the opening right. And then I'm just going to stick it down. And the reason that I like the mono glue is I like to be able to wiggle things around a little bit. And sometimes when I use snail, I can't position it the way I want to see. It just gave me a little moment of peace and quiet there. Okay, then I'm layering a couple other pieces. This is, I don't know what size, 4 by, I know it's 4 because this is 4 inches wide, 4 by a little over 1.5 inches. This is 4 by 1.5 inches. So this was probably 4 by 1.75 inches or maybe 1 5/8 inches, probably. Okay, probably just that. And I'm just going to layer these up. So I'm going to use a little liquid adhesive on that. Good, not a lot. And I'm going to put that on there. It is going to go to both edges here, but it's going to give me a top and bottom border. See that right there? Just like that. Okay, and then I can go ahead and glue that on there because nothing is going under this. Sometimes you don't want to glue your pieces down right away because you may have something like a twine or a ribbon that's supposed to wrap around, and then you got trouble. Ask me how I know. I just did that with all my customer Christmas cards. So when you get your customer cards, I apologize in advance. If you'd like a Christmas card from me, I would be happy to mail you one. You just have to email me with my email. I'm going to put my address here, and you can send me a quick email and your address, and I will mail you a Christmas card because I like to do that. Okay, The next thing is I'm going to make this whole piece as like a little packet, and then I'm going to stick it on. So I have cut a couple pieces here. This is very vanilla again. This is Mossy Meadow. The reason I went with that color is because it's the one listed on the paper, so it kind of gave it away for me. When I cut, I did use my thin die adapter, and I used 2 different sets of dies. I used these dies. These are my stitch shapes. By the way, I always label them, and I write the number of how many are supposed to be in that pack, so that if I'm missing one, so here's 4, 4, and 3. I'm missing one. No, it's here. It's here. I threw it across the table. It's right here. This goes right here, and that is the one that I used, okay, to cut that out. And so when I wanted to make just a little tiny ridge around there, I just went through my stitch shapes and said, if I have this shape here, what would be the perfect, that one would be a little too small, see, because you can't see it. That one would be ginormous. That one would be a little too big. I found it. Okay, so again, there I have a number here, and that has how many would be in this set, so that if I'm missing one, I would know it right away. All right, so I cut this out of the Mossy Meadow. Before I would adhere this, I would always stamp it. With the photopolymer stamps, they're super clear. You can see through them. You can cut before you stamp. That's fine. If you're using the red rubber, the new cling mount, you may want to stamp first and then cut it out, unless you're using your Stamparatus. I'm not using my Stamparatus right now. I know, you're all shocked. But if you were using it, then you would definitely want to, you could definitely cut a bunch out first, and then while you're watching TV, just line them all up and stamp. Because it's photopolymer, I'm also going to put a mat under it. Okay, and I'm using Cherry Cobbler ink, and I'm just going to eyeball and stamp 1, 2, 3, and lift. And there you go. Beautiful. With my photopolymer stamps, by the way, this is the stamp set. Okay, Farmhouse Christmas. It actually does have a set of framelits that go with it, and they're adorable. So I really probably could have used those, and maybe they may even have a shape that would work really well for that. I can't remember off the top of my head. I know it has the house and the tree and the car or the truck, but it may actually have a shape that works with this, but I wanted to just go simple. Simple Simon today. So anyway, I forgot what I was telling you. I'll remember when I go back through and add all the numbers. Okay, so that is going to go right on there, and it's going to just be glued on too. I don't want to make my card super tall. If I make it too tall, when I go to mail it, see that? If I go to mail it, it's going to be extra postage, which it's okay, but it's just, it slows down the machine, if you know what I mean. Then I have to take them in to the post office with everybody in line who's never mailed anything before. Why is that? How is that possible? You live here. How do you never mail anything? I got some kind of glue there. You're going to pretend like I don't have any glue there. Okay, I got some glue. Ooh, that's going to make a crazy mess. All right, a smeary, crazy mess. All right, there you go. That's probably on my finger. Okay, there we go. Now, I am going to want to do a couple of things. I am going to want to add these elements before I stick this down on here. Okay, so the best way to do that is close your liquid glue so that it doesn't get all over everything later. Grab your snail, and I am just going to run, it would help if I did this. I'm going to run that kind of all over there so that it's nice and sticky, okay? And I am going to use that to hold my twine. My twine, by the way, is linen thread. That is the real name of twine. And I'm going to take a bunch off here, and I'm going to wrap it super loosely. 1, 2, 3. So it's 3 times around my hand. Loose all the way around my hand. I'm flinging stuff. I'm just flinging for you. Okay. And there you go. I've got it wrapped 3 times. Here are my edges. And I'm just going to figure 8. And then I'm going to stick it down. If you want it looser, like I have it looser here, you just tug here, tug there, tug there. You can make it uneven. You can make it even. You can do whatever you want. It's your card. It can be the way you want. And it does not have to look exactly like mine. But you just saw how easy that was. Because I have the snail, I can just continue to adjust it on here while I'm kind of pinching it, and it's going to stay on there and I'm not going to have to worry about it. And now I need some sprigs. This is the sprig punch, appropriately named because it's sprigs. And this is Mossy Meadow paper. And I am going to punch out some sprigs from here. I'm going to punch out 3 because I like that number, and so does your eye. Your eye likes that number, by the way. So I am going to punch those out. And now I'm just going to hold this sticky to my finger, and I'm going to add some sprigs. So I'm going to put one up here, sticking off, and I'm going to put them down here. If I do them straight out to the side, they're going to stick off the card, and then it's going to not fit in your envelope. So you're going to want to kind of do what I'm doing here. Off to the side, off to the side. And here's another one off to the side. Good. Looks about right. And now I'm just going to add some dimensionals. When I add dimensionals, and you can do this any way you want, but because I'm going to push this snail down, right? I'm going to push these elements down onto the snail. So they're going to stay. But because, you know, things happen, I'm going to just add some dimensionals right over the edges of some of my twine and on my sprigs like this. Dimensionals are super inexpensive, guys. Do not stress yourself out about using your dimensionals. If you are stressed out and you're trying to conserve, I get it. Use the small ones, but use them in the same way. Use them to kind of trap your items that you have stuck on there so that nothing comes loose. Is that all of them? It is. Okay, and I'm just going to flip it over and stick it down. Not hard, a little smeared there with the glue, but otherwise it's cute. Probably an opportunity for me to put a couple of little gems. That's fine. That is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for stopping by. I love to make these little videos for you, even though it's been a little crazy lately with kids. But if you see something here you like, or you want your Christmas cards made, you need to get on it. It's time to get on it. If you would like, I absolutely can cut paper ahead for you. So I could cut the elements for you. You could get your own stamp set and do your own stamping, and you could assemble these Christmas cards for yourself, and you could mail them out as yours, and I would not tell anyone. So if that's something you'd like to do, please go ahead and email me. Otherwise, if you like to do everything yourself, you are welcome to shop on my website. I will list it here for you. And if you don't have a demonstrator, I would really love to be yours. Thank you so much for stopping by. I'll try to post a couple more Christmas card ideas for you, and we will talk very soon. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.